Everyone, today we have Sajna Razi here with us. She is a PhD and is currently the clinical assistant professor in the Department of Marketing, College of Business Administration um, at the University of Illinois at Chicago. She completed her master's in international marketing and then went on to complete her PhD from Binghamton University, State University of New York. She has 10 plus years of professional global work experience in digital business and marketing consulting, program management, and customer relations. Her research and teaching interests include digital and social media marketing, marketing technologies, digital healthcare, and online innovations in marketing education. Her work has been showcased in peer-reviewed journals and conferences. And today she's going to be sharing with us 10 skills every marketing analytics professor needs. We're super excited to have you, Sajna, and I will turn the time over to you.
All right. Thank you, Chad. That
Thank
was a
you.
lovely introduction. Thank you very much. So can you all hear me and see my screen as well? Yes, no? Yes, that's great. Thank you. So it's lovely to be here and talking to all of you on a very interesting topic, I think, which is dear to all of you. And I think we are all very interested in as an academician. Um, so as Deepak rightly put it, analytics is the way to go, and we want to practice what we are doing. And analytics is a classic example of a domain which really requires a lot of hands-on practice. So let's see some of the top skills what every marketing analytics professional needs. So we are going to go through that. And just initially, before we start, just to give a quick brief about myself, I work at University of Illinois at Chicago. Chad gave a good introduction about me. Just in terms of teaching, I mostly specialize in digital marketing as well as business intelligence and marketing. And I have a little bit of a technical background, and I worked in the technology industry as well along with marketing. So that kind of brings in or ties in neatly the marketing analytics perspective. So this is a very passionate subject for me. All right. So if we were to look at how the world is progressing in terms of how we are communicating with each other, how consumers are interacting with devices, if you see how we have progressed right from the pre-internet era. I don't know if anybody remembers the old red colored phone, which we used to it ringed, it rang, and it kind of had this, you could go take it round and round. I don't know what to call it. It had a dial. So I don't know if anybody remembers that. I know we can find it in antique shops, but anybody remembers that? Yes, no? Nope. Yes, the rotary phone, you're right. I couldn't get the word. Yes. So when I tell this to students, they're like, okay, they look at me like as if I'm from the dinosaur age. Okay. So that was the pre-internet era or the era where we have to wait for maybe months to get a telephone connection. So we moved on to the internet of content where there was information out there on the internet. And then we are at a phase where we started to sell, we started to have services out there on the internet where we had e-commerce now coming in. Now, in the last 10 years, we are in the Internet of People phase where social media is the king. Everything we're talking about today, we're talking about Twitter handle and LinkedIn handle, and we're talking about in networking through that and consumers connecting to brands through that. And slowly now we are moving to Internet of Things. As a family, we are starting to do some holiday shopping, and there's such a lot of smart products out here right now. Smart bulb to smart cameras to smart TVs to smart refrigerators. It's not long enough before you find machines talking to each other. And very importantly, that kind of gives exposure to so much of data out there. So we have so many touch points with the consumer now. A person may be talking to Alexa and turning on the lights. That's the touch point. Now, what happens is every touch point a consumer has with a brand, a consumer has with a marketer, there's a data point there. So there's such a lot of data, right? So this is my favorite slide, which I always show to the students, like till 2020. So if you look at it, um, the amount of data which is out there is about 53 zettabytes. I don't even know what zettabyte means, but it's just big data for me. The data is huge. So we've got to analyze that, right? We've got to understand that. Now, this is a recent report from Technavio where they've talked about the growth of big data from 2019 or 2020 to 2024. It's about $142.5 billion. So the data market is huge, and 10% growth, for 2020, and you're expecting that to grow every year as well. There are a lot of players in this particular market, and majority of the growth has come in from North America. But I think globally, it is the other countries are not far behind. You're seeing a huge data explosion coming in from Middle East, Europe, Asia, all around the world. So again, smart devices is one of the key initiatives. But having said that, the combination of social media, the bandwidth which is available for consumers to access the internet, as well as the smart initiatives going forward, is definitely bringing marketing into a completely new space. Now, the time has gone where in which we could have a good product out, put it into the stores, advertise in television, expect people to see it, find it, and go get it, or send home flyers. That's a thing of the past. Now, right from the time you're launching a product, maybe on a New York Times Square digital billboard, to sending out a personalized email, to getting the consumers discovered products, alongside YouTube videos they are watching, discovering, looks around, discovering looks, or tagging products within social media. So with every single connection which consumer is making with respect to the technology, and that connects to the marketer. So you have to keep track of that. You have to analyze it, and you have to understand and improve them as well. So there's no part of marketing now which is not touched by data or analysis of data. So that is something which is really, really changed the game. So, as per the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the job profile of market research analysts and related specializations in marketing is expected to grow about 22% in the next 10 years. So, and that's really high as compared to the other occupations, if you look at it. So, if from 8% to 22%. So, it's expected to have about 96,000 openings projected each year for over the next decade. So from a student perspective, it is a huge opportunity, especially for marketing students. It's an opportunity which can be tapped. Now, from an academic perspective, it also tells us that it's time for us to get onto the bandwagon, change the way we are looking at things, and getting the students trained for these jobs in the future. So, what is a marketing analyst? So let's try to understand that. Like, it's a very broad term, and an analysis of data can be done at different ways. So what is a marketing analyst? Now, this is a snapshot which I took from LinkedIn job postings just yesterday. So you might see a lot of Chicago here, because I'm based out of Chicago. So here, if you look at it, so there's product marketing analyst, senior marketing, SEO marketing. So there's a very interesting one. It's senior marketing analytics analyst. So there is a combination of different types of definitions for these particular roles. So if you look at all of the different job portals or all of the openings which are out there right now, you can see some commonalities. The first is, one of the main jobs which is coming is marketing analyst, which is again analysis of any kind of marketing campaigns and the analysis job roles with respect to that. Now that you can add more domain specific with respect to, for example, it could be a SEO analyst, a digital marketing analyst, it could be another type of like email marketing analyst. So you could actually put up domain based things. So specific to the role, people actually change these definitions. But there are very common ones which I see among marketing analysts are digital marketing analysts, which is looking at all digital marketing campaigns. Now, if you're a company which is really huge in that, then you might want to split that based on role. And then you have the marketing research analyst. So, marketing research analyst is a term where you're looking at conducting marketing research and then analyzing the data and all of data from that. Now, these are all overlapping kind of roles. And again, the definitions are based on the kind of job definition each company is looking for. So, these are all in the same basket, depending on the role which you're looking for. And now, if you look at a marketing analyst wears different hats. But at the end of the day, I would like to call the marketing analyst as a data-driven marketer. So a marketer who understands data, who uses data, and who interprets data. I would like to understand or look at marketing analysts through that perspective. So if you look at the different hats or roles in terms of jobs, which a marketing analyst could be doing is, a marketing analyst is definitely a strategic planner and making strategic plans, then measures and tracks the performance as well as the effectiveness of these campaigns. A marketing analyst is a domain expert who understands how to analyze the data, generate insights from it, then tell a story with that data, make recommendations to other teams, collaborate with other teams, and also really fine-tuned in marketing research techniques. So there are different hats which a marketing analyst could actually um, be wearing. Now, if you look at a career path for the marketer, we could start from marketing analyst and you could grow into a marketing manager. So there are different paths. You could go into a senior marketing analyst if you really want to stick on to that part of it, or you could grow into the managerial angle with marketing manager, or you could go on to digital marketing manager. And from the marketing manager, you could go on to the bigger roles in marketing, which is director and senior roles and VP roles. So this is usually the path which this particular role takes. And the most common is this one. So you grow into a marketing manager to a marketing director. So that's where there's a strong strategic line coming in it. Now, if you look at this particular field, I think I'm going to answer your question here. If you look at based on the number of years of experience, this is the kind of money or salary which you can expect. This is as per the current information. So I've taken this information from pay scale. So across the board in multiple pay related website, this is the same information which is given, as well as my information from the students who has graduated and who has gone into the industry as well. So less than 1 year at the end, when you start off, it's around 50 to 60K. And now this differs from company to company, but this is an average number. And as you grow along, you go up. And once you get on to, this is just if you're sticking on to the analytics part, but the more you get into the strategic, or once you get into the strategic perspective, once you get into the managerial perspective, then your salaries would definitely be changing. So if you look at a marketing manager salary at 10 years, then you could see much higher than this. Okay, now this is right now, and I think this because of the challenge in finding students who are skilled with respect to that, I think these salaries have the potential to grow. So again, a great opportunity for marketing students. Now, if you look at the marketing analyst job responsibilities, okay. Now, this is one snapshot which I got from monster.com, and if you look at the multiple job descriptions, you're going to see for a marketing analyst across different job portals, okay, there's a commonality. Now, certain tools could differ, certain tools could be different, but overall, if you look at it, it provides actionable, so a marketing analyst should be providing actionable market and customer insights to address key strategic questions, responsible for tracking, reporting, and analyzing performance. So complete reporting across campaigns. Analyzes external and internal customer data using database queries. So you want to understand database, spreadsheet, web analytics tools, just like the Google Analytics we talked about, statistical analysis tools, and campaign management software tools. Evaluate consumers' online behavior, provide recommendations. Analyzes A/B and multivariate tests for websites and communicates as well as recommendations. Create presentations to provide insights as well as to present to other departments, as well as advises other marketing functions as the knowledge owner for consumer and market data. This is a huge, uh, you know, charter, right? So I agree. It definitely needs to be paid more. Now, the information which I gave you in terms of the pay scale is definitely what is currently out there, recorded, even as per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But I expect it to grow as we move forward. Now, just let me just a minute. Let me just go back. Okay. So if you look at this particular infographic you're showing, now this is my favorite infographic, which I often bring it out to marketing students. Okay. Now, there's one thing which is very, very important for all of us to understand. Now, I think all of you might have faced this question in your classes as well as in your students. So when we are looking at marketing students or students, when they come in for marketing major, what happens is that they are not students who like math very much. They don't like data too much. Have you ever observed that? Have you ever observed that thing? Because if you look at the business disciplines, right? So those students who might be interested a lot in data could be either going into engineering, or the max you could go is information and decision sciences. Then others who would be interested could be going into finance and accountancy, who then the others could be going into marketing or management. So we often get a pool of students who just doesn't like data. So when I teach analytics or business intelligence in marketing, the first thing I pull out is saying, okay, I think I'm really liking the fact that you're all very creative people. You love making images. You want to be a social media manager, but we have something more to go if we want to be training as a marketer. So this is a very, very important key aspect when it comes to a marketing student. Okay. So let's take this infographic. This is actually a very interesting one. It's from Salesforce. If you want to look up this one, it's available on the internet. It's very interesting to show to the students and to give them a perspective of how they want to get into their careers in future lives. Now, if you look at this, right, so the marketing artist part of it, right, it is the philosophy. It's about engaging, connecting with the consumers, having the most creative stuff, the advertisements, the best website, making the really interesting, engaging social media post. So you want to be creative and innovative, and that's the kind of thing which you want to do as a marketer. Nobody really likes to look at numbers, how much is my CPC for my ad campaign, and so on and so forth. But the issue is that you can't live without that. So there's another side to it. Okay. So here comes another role here, which is called the marketing analyst. Okay. So the analysis part of marketing, okay, we want to see the return on investment for the campaign. We want to understand data in Excel sheets, very organized, very detailed. We, understanding data, interpreting it, and making suggestions. Now, do we want these to be two different people? No. I often tell this, you want to be one. You want to be a person with two lenses. As a student, we want to train students who is a part artist, part scientist. We don't want them to think that you just want to do marketing, you can just be pigeonholed in creating an ad. No, you don't want them to do that. You want them to make the ad, look at how it's performing, understand why it's not performing, fine tune it creatively, and get it out again. That makes them a full marketer. So you want to train them to be a part artist as well as a part scientist. So now, if you look at how we want to get to them, okay? So this is something which I often emphasizes to them is marketer, okay? Very importantly, it's all about actionable intelligence. We just don't want to make intelligence as an analyst. We want to create actionable intelligence from all the different consumer touch points which we have right now available to us as a marketer. So you get the data, you analyze, you make a decision, you execute it, you understand. So there's actionable intelligence which kind of drives the way you drive your marketing campaigns. Now, this is where we comes to this very sweet spot for marketers. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, a marketer can be a part artist, a part scientist. We definitely do not want them to be two different roles. We want them as trainers, as teachers, as educators who are training students for the next decade of work. We want to make sure that we inculcate both these skills in the same person. It's a tough job. It's an uphill task. There's something which I do all the time in my class. I keep asking them every 2 weeks, do you love data a teeny weeny bit more? Do you think it is fun? Do you think so? You kind of slowly get them, ease them into it, and tell them and make them feel or understand that data is not something to be scared about. You don't have to freeze when you see a lot of numbers. You want to understand them and then understand in a way that you can become a better marketer. And that's where there are a lot of skills which can help you plug that gap. Now, what happens is when students suddenly look at these role definitions for marketing analysts, they get taken aback. Like, oh, I have to know a lot of statistics. I have to know now R and a lot of statistical analysis with SPSS and SAS and coding and so on and so forth. They really get scared and they move away from it. And now that's not what we want them to do. So we want to ease them. So this is something which can be done. So if you look at the overall analyst part of being a marketer, okay, there's another range to it. Okay, so being a marketing analyst here, you can go to the other extreme also. So people often confuse a marketing analyst with a data scientist. Okay, so a data scientist who could be having an engineering background, a computer science background, or an information and decision sciences background could be doing more of data management, data mining, statistics, data modeling, advanced programming. So the courses which are available in the universities for these are very highly technical and it's not really palatable by marketing students. I've had students who would love to get into that space, but then it's too technical for them, or maybe their learning ability or interest is not aligned to that. So I often, it's very critical to make that differentiation for them, that when we are training to be a marketing analyst or analyst part of being a marketer, you don't have to be a data scientist. There's a sweet spot between a complete creative marketer and a data scientist. That's where a marketing analyst lies. So let me go through some basic 10 skills, which I think is very critical for a marketing analyst. And again, I emphasize it's a sweet spot for marketers. You don't have to be a data scientist. You don't have to be worried about coding and skills and all that. So I said, okay, you want to make a mobile app? There are templates available. Technology has advanced so much. There are advanced business intelligence platforms which is completely based on artificial intelligence. You don't have to know that. Now, knowing statistics definitely helps, I agree. But we don't want the students to be scared of data. And that's where as an educator, we want to really take the initiative and give them that right focus. And I hope this presentation helps you a little bit in getting there. So let's understand the sweet spot. Like, what is the skill which you need so that you address the marketing analyst job profiles, but at the same time, you don't get your students to scare away as well. Now, these are skills which I've accumulated over the years based on my experience in the field, my talks with industry partners, data analytic professionals, as well as what is out there we are seeing in terms of job profiles. So the first thing is we cannot run away from technology, right? So even creatively now, if you want to create a good email, you might use MailChimp. If you want to create a good video, or an image, you might use you might use Adobe products. So use of marketing technologies, being technologically savvy, is a given thing in marketing right now. You cannot run away from that. The time has gone where in which you can just be drawing or painting. It's great. That creative skill is definitely needed. I'm not taking away that at all. But knowing technology, knowing software packages, platforms to do that can really, really help. So it can range from ad technology, okay? So it can range from a programmatic ad platform to an email platform to business intelligence platforms, visualization platforms, as well as statistical packages. Now, let me just spend a minute on that. When we talk about ad tech, it could be programmatic platforms, it could be Google Ads. So there are different tools which we could use, and we can create ads as well as understand how it's performing. There's a math to it, the budgeting part, to understand what the metrics means, how to analyze that, and then come and change your ads. I often go through an entire process of Google Ads through that. So, or you can actually supplement that with other angles. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Now you have email. Again, using a sample email platform could be very helpful. Then coming on to business intelligence platforms, this is very powerful. Across the board, companies are using business intelligence platforms for marketing campaigns, for consumer journey mapping, for customer experience management, for marketing campaign management like Marketo, Adobe products. You have IBM Watson, you have Microsoft SEO. There are so many of them which is out there. You can the knowledge in those business intelligence platforms really help the students ease into this data world very easily, because there's a lot of artificial intelligence in it which really helps them do that. Now, the visualization platforms, the business intelligence tools also comes in with the visualization platform, or you could have separate visualization platforms like Data Studio, like Tableau. All right. Then you could have statistical packages. Now, this is always a contention point, right? How much statistical package do you want the students to get in? Now, this is something which is very critical. Now, as academics, we are all steeped into statistics. We love our SPSs, we love our R's for our research, we do that. Now, for the students, it's tough. Statistics is a tough subject, especially for marketing students. They kind of scrape through that. There's maybe about 10% of the students or 20% of the students who actually would find it compatible, but the majority of the students would not. Or maybe that's my experience, especially with marketing students who has a very strong creative mind. So for them to understand the numbers, the science behind it, it takes a little while. So definitely they go through basic statistics courses in universities, and definitely that's required. Now, how can we add on to them? Add on to that from a major perspective. So SPSS, SAS, or R, the R or Python for that matter, they are all available, agreeable, or rather useful packages. But I would recommend all of you to teach that from a little slightly different perspective rather than getting into the science of it. So we've got to make them feel that it's easy to use. We've got to make them feel that it is kind of something which it is easily maneuverable. So I'll give you a couple of examples what we will do. So let's go through the skills first. So then the second tech and data skill which is required is how to track the performance metrics for marketing campaigns. So understanding what a KPI is, how to track it. This is one gap which I often find. It's like students know how to run something, and then they don't understand what does it mean. If I have less number of cost per clicks, if I have less revenue, but I have done all the best practices, professor, what do I do? So that's where you've got to okay, you look at the data. These are your metrics. The combinations of that, you've got to help them to understand and interpret. That's a very important skill. So tracking is also a very critical skill which can be taught. Then very important is insight creation from data. Okay. So when you look at data, students are all very, very used to seeing data in Excel sheets and so on, but they're always very lost in terms of, what is it that I want to find out? And, I have a very powerful insight, powerful statistical packages. Now, what do I need to find out? In what direction should I find out? And what is it that I want to end up with? What is the final goal? That's something called insight creation. So there's a lot of critical thinking and problem solving, and this is one skill which I extensively look at and formulate different packages or learning materials to facilitate that skill. The other one is creative storytelling. This is where things can be made interesting for them. So you are talking to creative students, and you want to now say, oh, data is not something which is numbers and you can just have Excel graphs. You want to now tell a story with it. And that is something which you want to really emphasize and get the students interested in. And visualization platforms really help a long way towards facilitating all of us to help them ease into that. And you can make them create interactive dashboards and visualizations. And also another skill which is important in this sweet spot is SQL. So we can get them to understand SQL from a very basic perspective, because as a marketer, you want to pull out data. That's all you need to do. You don't want to be a database administrator, or very rarely you have marketers do that. So you want to help them pull out SQL data. And there are very small SQL modules out there. There are freely available SQL platforms out there which can be learned within that. So I take about 2 weeks for getting students accustomed with SQL, 2 to 3 weeks, which is about 5 to 6 classes, which helps them get a sense of it. And then later on, if they want to go in deeper, they can do that. And also basic text analysis. So there are tools like Google NLP, which is natural language programming. There are demo versions available. Nowadays, most text analytics platforms are licensed. So if you want to have a free text analytics perspective, then you could use a Google NLP package. That's one resource which you could possibly use. Those are the tech and the data skills. But having said that, there are some critical broad skills for a marketing analyst. So it ranges from strategic thinking and planning, very, very importantly, marketing domain knowledge. Now, this is what differentiates a data scientist from a marketer or a marketing analyst. Marketing domain knowledge, a deep understanding about marketing research techniques, which includes digital research techniques like social media listening. So there's a lot of domain knowledge which is coming in, and also the domain knowledge to make sure you're applying it in the right way and interpreting and making decisions in the right way, making the recommendations in to the stakeholders with the domain knowledge. Now that really differentiates, a marketing analyst uh, role from the data scientist. And also it helps them to differentiate when it comes to going for a job interview as well. So sometimes the job profiles could be very ambiguous, and you might see a lot of data scientists or related kind of students applying for those jobs. I often see them applying for marketing related jobs. So there, to be competitive, our students can bring in their marketing domain knowledge and emphasize their skills. And very importantly, you need leadership and collaboration as well as teamwork. So because you have got to communicate, you have to collaborate as well as to present with internal departments, data scientists, as well as clients. So there's a lot of collaboration which is involved. So these are soft skills, which again, you have to develop within your classes as well. Now, if you look at an education listing for a marketing analyst, you might often see a bachelor's degree, okay, and a master's degree again, which changes the salary and all of that. 2 years of work experience. So any kind of small work experience, even if they are in the undergraduate degree, can really help them get to that first level job. And experience in statistical techniques, reporting, Excel, SQL, and analytics out here, Tableau, Sasorar. You often see this is a very common one. I often take this and show that like this is what you're going to see and this is what you're going to apply for. So as educators, we have to work backwards. These are the things which we are seeing in the industry now and expected to see as we move forward. How can we incorporate these 10 skills which we have talked about in the last couple of skills? How can we incorporate that in our studies, in our teaching? So if you look at how how we can get the students to get these skills, okay, so it's a combination of things which we could do. First and foremost is use a lot of marketing technologies within your curriculum. You can partner up with a lot of different technology vendors or get licenses for that. It depends on how you want to take it forward. But incorporating these in your curriculum goes a long way. And this is again from a perspective of students. It creates experiential activities. So as Deepak rightly pointed out, we want to do things, we want to experience it, and they learn better. And that has been shown by research that experiential activities really, really help them grow, let them apply. And a personal experience, from a personal experience, many of my students has come back and said, Professor, because we did this in class, I could show that in my first interview. I could actually understand how it's applied. Learning thing from a case study analysis or a slide deck is very, very different from actually working hands-on, let's say on an IBM Watson analytics in class. Or you could, simplify that a little bit by using simulations. So Stuken itself has a lot of simulations, so you can try that out. again, basic statistical analysis, I would like to give a caveat to all of you is, as academicians, we often have this tendency to go into really a lot of details with respect to statistics and the science behind it and so on. I would like to leave that to the statistics course. And when we look at it from an application perspective in a digital marketing analytics class or a marketing analytics class, the emphasis should be on interpretation and how you can make this into a recommendation or a decision for your marketing campaign. So the interpretation of what it means, if you see these statistics numbers, what does it mean in plain sentences? What does it mean and how can I apply that in my current situation? That's what is important. I don't need to understand why I got my p-value, whether my normal distribution is on right or left side or all that kind of thing. But I need to understand what does that mean? How does it relate to my independent and dependent variables? And what does it mean to how to interpret and take it forward? So this is something which I often see lacking in marketing analytics classes, and that's a very natural thing, because as like when we do our doctoral studies or when we learn, we go in depth into statistics, but that's not what we may want to do with the students who is kind of scared with the data. We want to make them to like it, and we want to really show them the application side to it. And finally, very importantly, teamwork, collaboration is extremely critical. So you've got to have them do a lot of teamwork, because you want to analyze in teams. You want to spar with each other. You want to, get them understand each other's perspectives and do that. So these are all different ways. Just one quick last point is insight creation and storytelling. These are two important things. I often see a gap in students that they might know the data, they might know how to run something in SPSS, but what am I looking for? Like, is it relevant to finally what I want to find? That is something called the insight creation process. So I develop actually, I use IBM Watson Analytics as the business intelligence platform, and I've developed an application, a work package along with that to make them go through the insight creation process, mentally a soft skill perspective on that, as to get them through that and figure out what they want to finally tell a story with that particular data, and also take them through how to tell a story. And what I do is I actually make them write a Three Little Pigs story in class. Just go down basic to first grade, and they have a lot of fun with it. And then they understand and say, okay, there's a setting, there's characters, there's a conflict, there's drama, emotions, ups and downs, and finally you resolve the problem. So the three little the Three Little Pig story gets them to understand the setting, understand how a story is set. So it's presenting something as a story and presenting information as a slide deck or a PowerPoint presentation with just your charts are two different approaches completely. That is where you want to ease them into a story format and getting that. So storytelling with data is something which you may want to pursue as a skill in your class. So that's, and lastly, the artificial intelligence perspective. Again, I use a lot of business intelligence platforms in my class, and AI is, there's a lot of artificial intelligence coming into these platforms, which actually helps marketers much easier in terms of data analysis. I think we could ease students into that and help them understand that it makes it fun for them. They apply it and they really get over that scare of that. Now, once they get over that a little bit, once they ease into it, they are much more open to understanding more details. Then that's the time when we could go in with another class on an advanced marketing analytics, where you could go in a little deeper. So that's an approach which you could possibly take. So that's all from me. So thank you. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. So I hope this gives all of you a sense of the basic skills which you could go back and try to see whether you could incorporate in your curriculum and get to that. All right, so let me just see the AI platforms, which I think there are lots of questions here. I'm just looking at it. The artificial intelligence platforms that I use right now is business intelligence platform, IBM Watson Analytics. I use Tableau to a certain extent. Tableau has a artificial intelligence built in into that now. I use the Salesforce has something. They are actually coming out with something called a natural SQL. I get my students a little hands-on onto that, where you could say a simple statement or a question, just a simple question like, okay, what are the countries which are performing well in my sales? Just a simple natural question could be asked. There are tools now which translates that to SQL and then go from there. So things are getting easier in terms of analysis, and the business intelligence platforms per se, the idea is to have a basic person who doesn't even know maybe the details of statistics and all of that to understand and analyze business numbers. So that's what may want to bring in and make it palatable for the marketing students. Okay, Jad, I think there are lots of questions. I didn't read them, so yeah.
Yes, I apologize. I was a little late. My internet connection seemed to fail me, so I apologize for that. But so yes, there are a couple more questions that I'll give to you real quick. So Minder is wanting to know about Apple's policy change. So her question basically is, let's see, will the Apple's policy changes to tracking users in apps and deprecation of third-party cookies change how marketing/advertisers track and analyze user data? So yes, basically just like, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yes, you're right, Minda. The two changes which is coming up, right? So the Apple's privacy rules and regulations which is coming in, as well as Google with its which is cookie going off by mid of next year. These are definitely going to change the way advertisers or we are tracking the characteristics of individual consumers. Now that gives the power back to the consumers. Now, what is going to happen, or that's my thought as to what we could expect to happen, is companies or brands would go more into hyper-personalization by connecting with the consumers directly. So then what happens is, instead of trying to figure out what the consumers need, you would get this consumers to reveal that themselves if they want to, and then go go in search of them, or go behind them, or try to understand their requirements and give them what they want from a very hyper-personalized perspective. So you're going to see that happening, change. And now, again, the browser thing is going off. Now, there's also a big a world out there, which is in mobile apps, which right now doesn't come under the cookie thing. So that is another way in which you could start getting information about your consumers. So again, there we have the big social media platforms, which is going to play a lot there. But overall, it is now I think it is up to the brands or the companies to decide what level of information they are going to use for their advertising, and then whether they want to approach their consumer one-to-one. And that is where the hyper-personalized marketing activities are going to see a big explosion in the next couple of years.
Gotcha. Awesome. Good to know. So we got another question here from Awais, and they are wondering, is there a track path for being world's best digital marketing managers or digital marketer apart from job path track? And also, any platforms or panels who decide? Does that question make sense to you?
Okay, if you want to be a digital marketing manager or a digital marketer, and otherwise, if you could clarify, what do you mean by a job path track? I mean, I didn't understand that. So these are both jobs and you're going to take that path. So when you start off, okay, let me just answer that question another way. When you start off, usually at the undergrad level, you start off being a website specialist or a website manager, or you start off with a social media manager. That would be the initial setting. And then once you are about 3 to 4 years into that, then you start translating into a digital marketing manager or a digital marketer who's in charge of multiple campaigns and so on and so forth, and you grow in that particular area more. Now, if you look at it, okay, even now at this time, you have a lot of digital coming in, digital marketers specifically, but in the next 6-7 years, I'm going to see a lot of there's no marketing now without digital marketing. So when you talk about a marketing manager, you need to be on the digital space. So it's another channel. So there's no specific job path as digital marketing manager. If you're a brand manager, then you need to know how to manage it offline as well as online. So you're going to see a congregation or combination of roles which is coming in. So it is going to take that path, moving forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. I talked to one of our authors a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned that same thing of digital marketing is marketing, right? Like we need to adopt this idea and just basically drop digital from digital marketing, because that's all it is these days, right?
I wouldn't agree to that. I would agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
There's digital marketing. Yes, when you're doing marketing on digital channels, yes, you can call it digital marketing. There is a big world outside as well. There's relationships. There's relationships with advertising
True.
agencies, big clients, brands, branding, product development. These are not digital. These are all part of marketing. Now, marketing is a big field. Right from our 4 Ps, right? So you have your product, price, place, and promotion. So we are only talking about a little bit about the promotion aspect with digital marketing. There is another aspect which is there, definitely. But what I was mentioning is when you talk about marketing, okay, you need to have the digital piece as well, because it's very influential, or which is critical now.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there.
No, it's all
Okay.
right. Awesome.
Yeah, I saw a few questions on SPSS and see, I completely agree on statistical packages. I mean, I also use statistical packages, but one thing which we may need to keep in mind is that the passion which we may have for statistical packages, the students may not. Because they are right now, the Gen Z is in a world where they are like, bombarded with visuals and easy to get stuff, like how to get into, the visualizations. It's a different world for them. So for them, especially marketing students, I'm not talking about the engineering students or the idea students, and some marketing students are very good at this. I completely agree, they love it. But majority of them, and that's my experience, kind of closes down when they see a lot of just statistics, because they want to see the
Oh yeah.
application, they want to understand what is happening and then apply it. So we just want to ease them into it. Once you ease them into it, definitely yes. In an advanced class, you can bring in the others. And definitely, I agree with all of you that it will help them in the future. But we don't want to scare them away.
Yeah.
That's the one of the main things which we want, because the jobs are there, jobs are going to come. I'm hoping the salaries are also going to rise. I was also surprised when I saw some of the salaries and expected a little more. Data scientist definitely has, 120K plus, for some positions and so on. I'm hoping in the marketing domain also, as we get our students more skilled, you will move in that direction.
Awesome. Well, Sajna, that is all I have for you today. We
Okay, thank you.
appreciate you taking the time to present and everything, and I know many people on here as well really appreciated your presentation and your words. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Have
Happy
a good one.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.